Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Lisa D. Murphy. And today we are going to talk about all things finances. And who better to do this than my amazing husband? He's incredible at what he does, Mark B. Murphy. And it's so fun, Mark. I mean, I get to hear you every day, all day long. And I do mean this sincerely. I love it. I love listening to how you talk to your clients, the information you share. I learn so much. And I would love for the audience to really get to know you in a different way, to know exactly what you do. Why is Northeast Private Client Group so different than other financial institutions out there? Who are you and what do you do? And that's what everybody always asks me. What does your husband do?
Well, first of all, thank you, Lisa. And, obviously, everything we do is a team sport, and you and I are a team and our 5 kids are our team. So, that's how it all starts and ends for me. But when I started Northeast Private Client Group in 1985, I always thought we would be successful. At least I hoped we would. I thought we'd make money, or at least I hoped we would. But this was always my vehicle to make other people's lives better. And that's always been the guiding principle, in that it always had to be, a class 3 experience. It had to be great for our clients first. It had to be great for everybody who works with us second. And then it had to be great for me third, and in that order. And that's sort of the principles that we kind of founded Northeast Private Client Group on. And the thing that I started to notice is that what I did, almost from the beginning, was I saw that, that there was a lot of financial advice out there. There was bad advice out there. I saw there was a lot of people getting advice that was maybe good for the financial institution, the bank, the brokerage house, the insurance company, but not great for the clients. They were doing a lot of things that were more self-serving and trying to kid the people that they were creating real wealth when they weren't really creating real wealth at all. They were creating wealth for the institution. And what I sort of realized is that I decided probably 35 years ago that I wanted to be a hero to entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial thinking people. And basically all that we've done is created a business around collaborating with people that want to be a hero to that same group. And where that client immediately saw that entrepreneurial synergy, and they instantly recognized that there was a better path forward, not only to help them create multi-generational wealth, but also a life by design, to have the kind of lives and kind of experiences that they hoped for themselves and their family. And that was our founding principles.
Mark, you say real wealth. What does that mean? That doesn't mean the same thing to every single person. What does that mean to you? And what does that mean to the Northeast Private Client Group client?
Well, when you grew up dumb and broke in Suffolk, New York, like I did, real wealth is a matter of opinion. But I think it's what I've shared with our son Nicky a few times. It's being able to buy what you want without looking at the price tag. It's about being able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, and being the master of your own domain, and not being a slave to someone else, or to a job, or to being stuck someplace. And, that's one definition. The other definition is to make sure that you and I, which we do, have enough money that we could not spend it in our lifetimes, but then set it up for the next generation and the generation beyond that. But do it in a way where we're not creating entitled, lazy people, but unleashing people that will make a difference in the world and will make a difference and improve the lives of all the people they touch.
One of the principles, you and I talk about this all the time. We talk a lot about money. We talk a lot about money with each other. We talk a lot about money with our clients. And one of the things that I always say is the world cannot survive with just poor people, poor in spirit, poor in finances, poor in emotional health. We need abundance. And we talk about the more money we make, the more goes back into the community, the more college tuitions we pay, not only for our children, but for other children. The more money we raise, the more money we give back, the more realtors we employ, the more commerce is exchanged. Would you really get into the importance of, when you say real wealth, What do you mean when you say legacy money and how incredibly important it is? And we just went through it even in our own family, how incredibly important it is to set yourself up, not only for the rainy days, but to set yourself up in case of that unexpected death, that unexpected accident. You may be a dentist and something happens to your hands. You're not working anymore. And people will say, oh, does Mark just sell life insurance? And when I hear just, I kind of like as if that's not enough. You do so much more than that. But would you get into the nitty gritty of why this is just vitally important, no matter where people are financially, to prepare for those days?
Well, obviously, we manage billions of dollars of people's wealth, and we do that darn well. But I think it's more about what people are looking for, I think, is they're looking for three things. Is they're looking for a little direction and that they have a clear path along the journey. They're looking for some creativity. Some of it's simple, some of it's sophisticated, and it's got to be mom and apple pie stuff. No, nothing under the table, just, mom and apple pie kinds of things. And they're also looking for some companionship and that you're there with them every step along the way on the journey. And so to me, when I talk about a defined investment strategy as one of the 10 financial integrity barometers, I'm not talking about just putting money in the stock market or an insurance policy. I'm talking about how they invest in themselves, how they prepare themselves for the next job, how they invest in their companies, how they invest in real estate, how they invest in people. Or most people, talk to me about, they ask me one of 5 questions. They ask me, how do I grow my income? How do I grow my business? How do I grow my freedom of time to take more time off? How do I grow my freedom of relationships to spend more time with the people I choose to? Or how do I grow my freedom of purpose, to have a purposeful life? And I'm one person, you're one person, everyone else watching this is one person. I've always thought that was the wrong question. I thought the right question is, who do we need to collaborate with to grow our income, our business, our freedom of time, relationship, and purpose? And, most people, I think the dirty little secret if you own a business is you don't grow a business, you grow people. And it's about investing in people to help grow. And that means not only investing in the people that work with you and the people that work for you, but it's both internally and externally in your company. What does your board of advisors, board of directors look like? What are the employees that you hire? You're not going to have an extraordinary business if you don't have extraordinary people working for you and with you.
And I also know you talk a lot about paychecks and playchecks. Can you tell a little bit about what that means and how you go about helping people to really enjoy the money they're making while investing properly for their future?
Well, as you know, we've got a book coming out next year, our 4th book. Hopefully that'll be a bestseller as well, about creating multi-generational wealth, the pyramid to create multi-generational wealth and a life by design. And I talk at the bottom of the pyramid, it all starts with protection first. Don't tell me you don't have your property and casualty insurance or health or life or disability insurance. Don't tell me you don't have your company or real estate in separate LLCs. All those things are just kind of basic protection things. But I think the next rung up on the pyramid is true liquidity or cash confidence. And so, to me is the number one reason why people fail, or the number one reason why people don't reach their full potential, is because they don't have cash confidence or true liquidity. Most of my wealth has been created when I've had cash and somebody else needed money. But I've also been able to have long-term plans to grow my companies because I had liquidity, so that business doesn't go like this. It doesn't go straight up. It goes up, it goes down. You have good years, you have bad years. People leave your company, you have unexpected expenses. And so for both opportunity and emergency and long-term growth, you have to have true liquidity. The next rung up on the pyramid is, I call it feeding your money machine. If you've got a business, the best investments entrepreneurs make is when they invest in themselves. So if you have only $1 to invest, you want to invest that in you. If you own a business, it's probably you. If you don't own a business, it's investing in becoming the best version of you. Do you have the right education, the right training, the right leadership, the right power to influence, the right network, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So everybody can become the best version of themselves. But after you've fed your money machine, or if that money machine doesn't need all of your cash, well, then the next level up the rung of the pyramid is creating paychecks. And I think what everybody should be doing is having a series of assets that will give them either guaranteed or highly reliable streams of money to replace their income in their career or their job. And then if you keep going up the pyramid, we call it Playchecks, where we want another series of assets that you can either spend it, you can save it, you can give it away. But the important thing is it will not be responsible for producing income for your family. So if you have both Paychecks and Playchecks, that's financial freedom. But there's still one more level. If you can have earned income beyond normal retirement age, so when all your friends are worried about living too long or going early bird specials or drinking domestic beer instead of imported beer or whatever their jam is, you could be a net saver in your 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s so that the rest of your portfolio doesn't have to work so hard. And what we teach our clients to do is to create that abundance in their cash flow so that they can actually be net savers and not be draining their assets, hoping they die with $1 left, like people in the wirehouses teach you with Monte Carlo. I think that's a silly monitor of success. I want people to reach their maximum and full financial potential.
I think the other thing people think about you, Mark, is that you only handle high net worth individuals. And I've had so many people say to me, I'd love an opportunity to work with Mark's firm, but we don't have that kind of money. Who's your ideal client and why?
Well, I mean, I'd be lying to say that I would not be interested in larger and more interesting situations. But I've got a firm that can handle you from cradle to grave. And it's all with my intellectual property and training. And I think the issue on that is I don't really look so much, Lisa, as you know, at how much money you have. I look a lot more at the kind of person you are. As David Meltzer's got that new book coming out next year, Don't Do Business with Dicks. That to me sums it up really well. I think he captured it, inartfully, but very cleverly. And I think for us is, we call it, in our company, we call it weed checking the jackasses out of your life. And the best way to do that is not to let them in. But if you're somebody that's a really good person and you want to be in a transformational relationship, not a transactional relationship, and you're generally a big thinker, you generally reciprocate, you appreciate our expertise, I'm willing to sit down with anybody because a lot of people help me. And I think one of the things is you can't believe your own, when you start believing your own bullshit, the world has a way of telling you you're not all that. And I am not too good or too proud to sit down with anybody who's just a good person who wants to make a difference. And, and sometimes, people in our organization say, you should be spending time with that person or that person. And I'm saying that's not what I was put on this planet to do. I was put on this planet to make a difference in the lives of all the people we touch. And that just isn't the uber wealthy, although we have a fair amount of them.
And I love that you just put it so bluntly, the way we talk to our children all day, every day. It really is a firm that will help anybody who, and when Mark said, is willing to help other people. And it is this network. It's this massive community of people where we look to match people with other people. So if you have a product and this person has an amazing idea and you're an investor, it's within our network that we're helping people build empires and network amongst each other. And I don't know of other firms that do that. I don't know of other firms where they have that collaboration. It's usually competition. If you're doing well, so-and-so is not going to do well. If you get the trip, somebody else isn't getting it. And in this firm, everybody works to help any client of Northeast succeed and make more money. And that was a very unique experience for me that's how Mark and I met. I was his client first, and then he picked me up and thought he was just, being really cool. Like, we should get together and network. And I'm like, okay, I know you're asking me out, so let's just get that over with. And that's really how we met. But I trusted you.
Well, and being in sales, I recognize the buy sign, and I am very fortunate for that.
And what was my buy sign, Mark?
Well, we don't have enough time in this podcast to share. We'll have to do another podcast directly on that. On the power to influence.
But what happened was I wasn't expecting this complete and total transformation in my networking ability, in the coaching I received, in the connections that I made, not because Mark is my husband. He wasn't my husband. He was my financial advisor. And I think the average person doesn't understand that if you're looking to launch a business and if you're in the thick of it right now, if you're confused as to the direction you're going, this is where teams, and I say teams of people in his office sit around and brainstorm about these clients. And it reminds me a lot of when you have a medical team and they all sit around and they discuss the different cases and what is the path of treatment for that person. And this is very much the experience at Northeast is what is the opportunity that exists for this client? Where does this client want to be? And where do we sometimes see them? Because I think there's a lot of blind spots and there is an innate fear in people to talk about money or to have a really big vision. And I think that was something even for me that expanded. And I thought my vision was huge when we met. And I realized it was limited. And in how you really helped me to expand that scope and then network within your community as a brand new client to help facilitate the process to how that happened. And I think most people will never get that anywhere else. And it's something that we don't talk enough about. And I know there's a lot of success stories without naming names. Can you talk about some of the people in the past that came in maybe with a practice, a store, and what their life or their businesses look like now as a result of that collaboration?
It starts with a couple of things. It's that you have to see people where they are, because you don't see people through rose-colored glasses or Pollyannish. You have to see people where they are. It'd be ridiculous to see them anyplace else. But you also want to be able to see them at their highest potential. And one of the things that I think that we try to do with people is be about possibility for them and give them the ability to dream and to think that anything is possible, but not something ridiculous, something that's, physically impossible or scientifically impossible or et cetera, but to be able to take that vision that they have and put together a plan to engineer it to get them to their highest and best potential. And I think first and foremost, I think what we try to do at Northeast Private Client Group is believe in people, because you can ruin somebody's day with a comment, but you can also make somebody's day with another comment, with a positive comment. And the idea is that if you have one person, Lisa, in your life that believes in you, and you have many, including the person on the other end of this podcast, but if you have one person that believes in you, much less 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, how lucky and rich are you that you have people that believe in you and almost become like lift you up to your highest and best use. But it comes with a few other things. It comes with in our philosophy is you can't be an expert at everything. So you want to hire and bring the best and smartest people into your firm that can do the most to help people make a difference. It's one thing to want to help them. It's another thing to then have the tools to help them going forward. And that's why you've got to hire and have the proper team and get the right people on the bus. But it also comes from a theory of abundance. In life, to me, it's a team sport. And there's not just one client or one customer or one patient. There's an unlimited number of patients. So I even give away some of my best stuff to people who would be perceived to be my competitors. But as you know, I don't really believe in competition. I believe in differentiation. And I want to differentiate myself from everybody else that does that work. And I want to help the people we work with differentiate themselves from everybody else that's there. And sometimes I like to give my best stuff away, because what it does is then challenges me to reinvent myself and disrupt my own business. And that's what I try to do, is help other people disrupt their business. I always want to have a business as we come to the end of this year. I want to create a business next year that would put this year's company out of business. I also, when I was a young person, I always got drilled in by, when I was 22 or 23, you got to network. And I used to think, well, if everybody out there is networking, why am I going to be just another guy taking the networking lane? And my good friend David Simkowitz coined the term net weaving. And we've always been net weavers, and that we've always led with our giving arm. We've always led adding value, more value than anybody else. solving a problem, giving somebody the opportunity to create that abundance. Sometimes it almost puts them off because they're like, what do you want? Or why are you being so nice to me? Or why are you trying to help me? And I think that ultimately they realize that when you show up the same every day as that same person, they not only appreciate that, but then they want to give back. And I never did it so people would give back. But what we did is we poured into people, not for months, not sometimes even for years, but in some cases for decades. And so we have an army of people that want to help us in all kinds of ways. And I think that's what I would wish for our children and for any young people watching this, is that, to be able to get around. I always say to the kids, get around something better than you and let it hit you. Be around interesting people, be around good people. It's very important who you surround yourself with. It's very important that you have great friends and you have great people there, and you don't have a lot of takers or matchers. You have people that are givers like yourself. Because remember, and there's been a lot of books written about this, but in the beginning, takers get a little edge because they're not giving, they're taking. But in the long run, the givers always win the race. And a matcher, if you don't understand, is somebody that, I'll help you, Lisa, because I think you can help me, or I won't help you, Lisa, because I don't think you can help me. They match you. But it's always being about the giving. And by the way, isn't the real joy in the giving? And I think the other joy is sometimes is also receiving. I also want to be able to not only give, but I think sometimes it's hard to receive. And I've worked very hard at trying to receive compliments, receive favors, receive back. Because when you're self-made like we are, you're very proud. But part of the ability to expand the community is to be able to both give and take, so that everybody can experience the joy of giving. And so that is, that's always been a fundamental core of what we've done here. And it's it's why I still work so hard at this point in my life. It's not for money anymore. It's because you can change what you do, but you can't change who you are. And to me, I get the joy of being in creation and fascination mode every day and helping people make their dreams come true. And, I've been able to, make some of mine and our dreams come true by helping other people do that first.
I think there's so much richness in everything you said about being able to receive. And I think, knowing that, right, as the giver, you want people to receive or you'll never have that feeling. And for people who are really stuck right now, or they're in a place where they are embarrassed, it's never been difficult for them, and now it is, and they're trying to figure things out. It's let people help you. Let us experience that feeling to have you succeed again by giving. And that's something that your firm does so well. It's when the underdog, when the person who just hasn't achieved monumental success yet has had so many setbacks, and they come in and there's so much opportunity that exists, but they can't see their blind spot. And I think it's started with you, Mark, of course, but your entire firm has that ability and trained by you. And I know they have a lot of the verbiage and a lot of the coaching and a lot of the training in addition to, all the licenses and everything else. But for a firm so big, you're able to really help those people to become unstuck. And that's something that I think we do extremely well. It's not just handle billions and billions of dollars and have those clients that, just want to keep expanding, but it's also for that person who doesn't see the opportunity yet, or it's been a little too difficult. So I wanted to emphasize that.
I heard there was a social worker who I know. I think I've not spoken to her in many, many, many years, but she got a call from one of her patients who was on top of a roof of a building, and he was ready to jump. And I want to give you like a draconian example of this, of horrible, horrible things. And the guy was up, and she didn't know what to say. So something came to her mind very quickly, and she said, "You have a temporary problem. This is a permanent solution. Get down right now." And he got down. And that's happened to me 3 times in my life, where I had somebody call me and tell me they were going to commit suicide. And I said to them, "You have a temporary problem. This is a permanent solution. let's get this fixed. And they're all alive today. And so if you take that to people's finances, which are certainly, you could be poor and not have to kill yourself. Suicide is about ends it all. And so the idea is, why don't we take it to a less extreme example with your career, your finances, your state of your marriage, your kids, your whatever. You can't do anything about what happened till right now. But for the most part, you have a temporary problem. We want to give you a permanent solution so that you can have the kind of life that you want to have. And that's what we want to do at Northeast Private Client Group. And there's a book that transformed my life. There's a number of books that transform my life. I think to me, my life is who it is. It's because of two things. It's the books I've read and the people I spend my time with. But there was a book by Gino Wickman called Traction. And the two principles of that book were GWC. You couldn't be, if you wanted to work at our company, a yes to one or two or even all three. You had to be a hell yeah to all three. And the G stands, do you get what we do and what makes us different? The W is, do you want to be with us, not because we're 10 minutes from your house or because you don't have a better opportunity, but you want to be with us? And the C is, with proper training, do you have the capability to do that job? And you got to be a hell yeah to that. But then the other thing you kind of alluded to, Elisa, is that I also created our core values. They're actually my core values. And so one of our core values is people first, family first. If you're going to have a long-term relationship, people, you have to be understanding that people come first and family comes first. One of our other core values, we have 7 of them, is we don't want to create an experience for somebody. We want to create a wow experience every time for that client, or we aspire to do that. And so the idea is I can go through each of the core values. But our theory being, if we have people that get it, wanted to have capability, and they have my core values or our core values, that's an unstoppable team. If somebody came to our office and didn't want to create a wow experience, they would be miserable working here. And everybody outside my office would hate their guts. And so we very carefully crafted those 7 core values to mold the kind of company we have. And it's amazing with the law of attraction, Lisa, only people that have those core values and get it, wanting capability, not only come to our firm, but more importantly, stay at our firm. Even if they somehow slip through the screening process somehow once in a blue moon, most of the time we don't fire them, they self-select out.
And I believe, because I believe in attraction, and you know that, I believe we attract who we are. If we are abundant, we attract like-minded people. And I know this because we entertain clients a lot. And this is always Mark's thing, like, okay, you need to stop talking. It's time to go home now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, but I love this couple, or I love this person. I want them to come over. And I feel like that almost all the time. I mean, I think the majority of clients would say, I have an amazing relationship with them because it's really cool to hang out with like-minded people who are abundant in their mindset. And I think what you've created is phenomenal. We continue to give back, and there's just so many ways for people to get in touch, get involved, and really have an opportunity to expand the way they think about things. And the other thing that I didn't always see as an opportunity, and I certainly do now, when a door slams in my face, and I'm going to just talk about my own experience with a career, with a startup, with an investment, and it didn't work out or failed miserably, it gave me an incredible opportunity to choose differently, pick another path. And oftentimes when I look back, and Mark, you've helped me tremendously with this, when the opportunities were like just, they just got shut down fast and hard, and I was devastated or blindsided by it, to really not look back. The windshield is much bigger than the rear view mirror, and stay focused on what do I enjoy? What am I good at? Does the world need it? Can I get paid doing it? And it's really helped me to keep that fire going, because I just got attached to old feelings, thinking that was still what my passion was, and it wasn't. And the door was forced closed and had me pick a different path. most people think when that door is shut in their face or their business fails or they go through a bankruptcy that they have failed. And what you have taught me and what the firm has taught me is that's an opportunity to reinvent. And it's so incredibly freeing. So I think you provide so much more than financial advice. You started off with what is real wealth, and that's real wealth. To wake up every day and know what I'm doing matters and I feel good. And it really comes down to that risk taking, letting go of fear, and trusting the unknown with the right people protecting you and making sure that you have enough for a rainy day and you have enough for paychecks and playchecks. So I think what you're creating and what you're continuing to create is it has been amazing for so many people. And I'm really glad that we had this opportunity to kind of clear up what it is and what it isn't. And as we wrap up this episode, and there will be many, what are some words of wisdom you'd like to leave the audience with?
It's so funny. I think it's less about words of wisdom and more about just how you show up every day. Meaning that I think it's I think there's a little bit of luck involved in the sense that I've never had any very serious illnesses or other things that are there, and I haven't had a lot of setbacks in my life, or certainly less than many. But I think it's how you show up every day. It's sometimes like in sports, you got to play hurt. Everybody shows up their best when they're feeling their best and they're rested and they're there. But I think a lot of times it's just how you show up and present yourself every day is what separates like they always say in sports, fatigue makes cowards of us all. I think that in life, it's you just got to keep, when I've seen people around me when I was young and we grew up kind of humbly, I saw a lot of people in my own family and around me get knocked down and they stayed down, where all they talked about was the heartache in their life, their divorce, their illness, their injury, their this, their, who died in their family, this, that, or the other thing. And I realized that, and most of them stayed down. And so to me, I just would always want to just get up one more time than I get knocked down. I still today get knocked down, and I just have to keep getting up. And all I got to do is get up one more time than I get knocked down. And so I just ask people never to give up hope and not to dwell on the negative, but dwell only on the possibility of what their life can be.
One of your clients shared something with me a couple of weeks ago at dinner, and I love this. And she said, I have a gratitude journal. But it's not just what I am grateful for. Of course, I start, when she said sometimes it's in the morning and sometimes it's before I go to sleep. It's not just what I'm grateful for, but what I want to be grateful for. And I thought that was so well put. And I think sometimes we forget to kind of choose that in the heartache, in the setback, in the struggle. There's always something to choose to be grateful for. So I'm grateful for you. I love you so very much. I love what we're creating.
I love you.
And I want to thank you for getting on with me today and talking about all things finance. So thank you everyone for joining. I'm Lisa D. Murphy, and see you next week.